Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help around the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope that what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. Already laughing. Positive Philter listeners, it's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Philter. Today we have our first international guest coming about 3,000 miles across the pond, the lovely Jeannie.
Hi.
Yeah, it's good. And so I'm just going to give a little introduction. So if some of you follow on Instagram or are friends with mine, you know that I have a frequent guest coming from the UK, my UK family. And so we thought it'd be a great idea to do a episode about the special relationship in not only my life, but my family, my child's life, and how it came to be. So to explain that, we're kind of going to do a little background. So I'm a military brat. I was born in Germany. And while in Germany, my parents working full-time, thought it would be a good idea to have some assistance, and I was blessed with getting a nanny. And so that's kind of, I want to leave it very vague and just give Jeannie an opportunity to kind of introduce herself, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Right, hi, I'm Jeannie from England, and Philip says he was blessed. Well, I feel exactly the same. I happen to be his fourth nanny, and we just touched lucky. It was the right time in my life to do the travelling, and it was perfectly matched as a family. I was 19 years old. I was ready to explore the world, and I had looked after children before, but I wasn't a full-time nanny. I happened to find an advert in a magazine called The Lady, and what jumped out at me was an American military family with a black child. That in itself, I was looking at going to South Africa to work, and I just thought, ticks all the boxes. It's a young family. They're in the military, so it's organised and methodical. It's not too far away from home. If it didn't work out, Germany's not that far away. Yeah. And there you go. And off I went. I was interviewed on the telephone. I received a letter from Big Phil, Philip's father, and that's how it started.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
So and it was so interesting, and you know, for the audience, I'm old head now, you know, born in '85. There was no social media.
None.
And so you said you got this article from a magazine, and so the interview process was pretty interesting. What was it? You said it was...
First of all, it was a letter.
A letter.
Yeah. I applied via a letter with a photograph, a little bit of background information, and then Philip's parents wrote to me, and they gave me a photograph of Philip and a bit of information about them. And then if I liked what they had said and they liked what I had said, then it led to a telephone interview, of which we chatted on the telephone. And it was basically, well, we're happy with you, you're happy with us, let's give it a try. And it really was that basic. I got on an aeroplane with an open-ended ticket that they paid for, and it was, well, let's trial it. 3 months, you don't like it, you can go home. No loss, and we do the same. And as soon as I saw Philip, that was it. It was just...
And that's crazy. And I remember you said, you said you saw a picture of me.
I just melted.
Who do I look like?
Who do you look like?
Like, when you saw a baby picture, who do I look like in regards to... flip side, who looks like me, one of my kids?
Of your children now?
I
picture. Actually think Miles looks like you.
In that baby picture?
In that baby picture.
Was I smiling in that baby picture?
You were smiling, yes. You were a smiley baby.
So,
but you had Bennett's hair.
So it was hair and his
very
smile.
Much a mixture, yeah.
Mixture. That's interesting.
Very much a mixture.
And kind of touch, what was some of your experiences? So you got there. What was some of your experiences when you were in Germany? So obviously walking around with this black child, you were taking care of me all day. What was some of the Were people looking at
Actually,
you?
on post, I was respected because I was the nanny of Philip Wilkerson III. That was a big deal. I was saluted. People showed me respect because of who your parents were.
Oh, my parents had rank at that time
Yeah,
too?
very much so.
Oh, okay,
It
I
was
didn't know that.
Major and Captain Wilkerson.
Okay, I didn't know that they had rank like
Major
that.
was Philip.
Yeah.
Carol was a captain, and they knew who I was purely because of who you were.
Okay.
And that was really nice. I was very respected on post. Off post, however, that was a little bit tricky. Getting on a bus with you as a baby, I was an unmarried white girl of 19 years of age, and I had this little tiny black baby, and they were a little bit hesitant. They
You think they had like a stereotype? You think they thought I was your kid?
They thought you were mine,
but
I was not
But I
married.
was kind of like a little darker, right? They didn't think I was a mixed kid.
Don't-
They had a certain, okay, they had an
They had
assumption.
they had a preconceived idea, I'm sure. But generally, I had a good time in Germany. It was a nice place to live. We had a beautiful house outside of Post, right on the river, so we were able to cycle backwards and forwards to the town, and we had a nice time. We used to go to the park a lot to feed the ducks, those sorts of things. It was a nice life.
So, you said you took care of kids previously. Do you think that taking care of me was good preparation for your own kids?
Yes,
And did
very
you-
much so.
Did you use some of the same techniques you used with me with your own kids?
Yes, I did.
When you were using those techniques with me, were they things that you did with kids previously, or you were trying things for the first time?
No,
with me?
you were the first baby child that I'd ever cared for. I'd looked after children, but not a baby, 24/7, because your parents were so involved with the military. So there were times when it was 24/7. So having a routine was really important, and it worked. We were very close, and everything I did socially, I had you with me. You were involved in everything I did, and that worked too.
But you figured out trial and error. I mean,
Yeah.
you just
But you were a
like
good baby, Philip.
wiping
It wasn't.
babies or
It
doing
wasn't.
changing diapers.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't
carries
difficult.
and strollers, all that. You just
Yeah,
kind of figured it on
you
your
learn.
own.
You learn.
Or you learned.
And you weren't difficult. It was a joy.
But maybe if I was a difficult, you think it'd be a different experience then,
Well,
probably.
yeah, possibly,
Probably.
yeah. I can
Probably.
remember on one occasion you were a little brat. You were a nightmare, but you were overtired. And I learned then that, okay, if you don't keep to a routine and you're overtired, you're going to fuss. And we were on a 4-hour bus trip. We got on a trip, and it wasn't fair on you. And I learned that, okay, well, the trips we do have to be shorter because you're not a happy baby. You know, if you can't rest properly, routine works.
And I think that's kind of funny because that's kind of by the way of the world. That's kind of how I parent because of Maggie. That's her.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
it works.
Yeah, it works. The structure and routines. So Germany. How long were you with me in Germany?
I was there for as long as the military wanted your parents there. So had it been any long, it was 2 years. It was meant to be 12 months
Okay.
as a minimum. That came and went so quickly. I went home for Christmas. Your parents had brought you over actually to stay with me at Christmas time, to visit my parents.
Okay.
So we had a nice holiday, and then they came back. They went back to Germany, and I joined you a week later. So I had a little bit of a break to catch up with family, and then we had another year there. I only left Germany and left you because the military had your mum and dad back to America.
That's when we went to Fort Belvoir.
Yeah, and at the time, I'd have gone back with you had the visa situation been different, and that's when your mum worked really hard to try and pair us up
In Kansas.
in Kansas. Yeah,
And so, I mean, for the listeners, there was a large gap. That was
about 3 years.
about 3 years because when I got back to America, it was 4, and we didn't reconnect till 6.
You're about 6, yeah.
6 in
Yeah.
Kansas when my dad went to Desert Storm.
That's right.
But I didn't. So I kind of went. I'm probably going on a random tangent. So I came and visit your family
Yes,
in
you
England. Was I the first black person they've ever met?
Yes, they were. You were, and also I celebrated my 21st birthday in Germany with you, and I was very close to my grandmother, and I remember you sitting on her knee having breakfast, and she was stroking your arm, and I said to her, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I have never touched anything other than white skin before," and she really did think you were going to rub off on her hands. She had no clue, and
And how old was you?
she was in her late 70s.
So I mean, like that someone you bridged a connection with someone that's lived a full life, that's never seen someone of color.
Yeah. And she
that's very
was
interesting.
absolutely besotted with you, but she'd never had that opportunity. So it was not a racist thing. It
No.
was more
Exposure.
yeah,
Culture,
absolutely.
culturally exposure.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, what kind of shows now, I mean, the world wasn't as global. I mean, the world
It
wasn't as-
depended what environment you were in.
It's probably, since time has gone on, but it wasn't as global. There's people that probably never experienced people from other cultures their whole lives. And maybe there's still people in certain countries now,
That
but
happened.
the world is getting a lot smaller. And that instance of someone living a full lifetime and not seeing someone of a different race, it's probably less and less.
Yes.
Not saying it doesn't exist, but it's less and less. So that's crazy. So I was like the ambassador of all
You
black
certainly
people.
were. You absolutely were.
I mean, probably a good impression on your grandma. So jumping forward, we
I couldn't wait to get to Kansas to be with you, and that's.
But you didn't have that in mind. You didn't know that was going to happen. My mom reached out when she was in Kansas to set it up.
Yes,
or
she did.
Was that like
It was
every
in-
year? You said maybe this year, maybe this year.
No, she was keen to do it. It was just how circumstances happened regarding the size of the house and the care that you needed. And at the time, she didn't need me as much as she did. She knew at Kansas I was needed, but for Belvoir, not so much.
Right.
It's financial as well. At the end of the day, it was circumstances.
But I think she needed you more in Kansas. My dad got stationed in Desert Storm,
exactly.
and that was a whole gap. And she was pregnant.
Yes. Well, she didn't fall pregnant. She fell pregnant whilst I was there. It was just you I came to take care of initially.
Right. But that could be very helpful.
And also initially, they both thought they were going. So
To Desert Storm?
Yeah.
So they were prepared if they both went.
That I was going to take care of you. I was your sole carer.
Did they do like contracts and all
Yes,
that?
we did all that.
Like, see that this is a first for me. I didn't know that
Yeah.
that was the preparation.
It was a major conversation that we'd had, and I was happy to do that.
So you would have lived in Kansas by yourself with me
Yes.
again, but you probably wouldn't have got stared at as much.
I wasn't stared at all in
No,
Kansas.
you
No.
probably in Kansas, it might be just as.
It was easy peasy.
Just a single mom of a little black boy in Kansas might be a little different too than Germany, but probably be a different experience in Germany. But then you got to see. I learned some new things. That's shout out to the podcast, right? I would have never known that was in the cards. So I got to give my mom a lot of credit because she kept in touch.
She absolutely did.
And had that conversation still going. Those were very hard conversations.
And it was
to
all
have.
via letters. We wrote letters backwards and forwards. There was nothing else.
It wasn't emailed.
There was no emails. There was nothing. It was pure letters.
Full
And your
letters.
mum was really good at keeping in touch with me.
She's really good. I mean, my mom is really good at keeping in touch with lots of people.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's one of her strengths that I think I draw from, is that keeping in touch. Like I'm that bothersome friend.
Yeah.
And I think that persistence in maintaining relationships is something I attribute to my mom, and I think it's a really good characteristic because, it's like.
It's not easy. I mean, nowadays you've got your.
And my mom was doing it when it wasn't easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I give her a lot of credit. So she was writing these full letters. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's really how we communicate. I used to send you care packages of things I thought you would like. I sent you, parcels of different bits and pieces that just to keep you in touch with me. We'd send photographs backwards and forwards because there was nothing else. It was just purely letters and pictures.
Wow. And so these are full letters and.
And I still
print
have
out.
some of them too.
Wow. I bet my mom does too because she never throws anything away. so it kept the conversation and going. So she got you in the au pair program, and you got to enroll at the
K-State.
K-State, which was right next to Fort Riley.
Right.
Well, how was that going to college?
I loved it because I hadn't had that opportunity in my childhood. The thought of Carol had given me a list of all these different things that I could do. And the K-State looked into my qualifications and said, well, you can apply for. And we went together to sign on. And I did sociology and loved it.
So sociology, did you have the...
And I passed. I got a B. That was not bad.
Did you take one class or...
I just took one class because I had to have it fit in with your schedule.
Right.
But I got really involved in the K-State community. So I went to the library, I made friends there. I used the gym, the facilities that they had. So it became, I was older.
So
I had the experience.
You had the gear and the hoodie and the shirt,
I
the
did.
K-State,
Yeah.
the whatever, Wildcats.
There you go.
Did you get in? Did it give you a spark? Did you ever think that you ever want to do a full, if you can go in a time machine, would you have done a full degree at K-State? or just like one class, classes dabbling in there. That was good enough.
Had I had the time and the money to I mean, it was expensive for your mum because your mum funded this.
She paid for the tuition.
She paid for the tuition. She funded but it was time precious. Possibly if I'd have had the money and the time available to me, it was a nice university to go to.
Yeah.
But as you know, I have a real thing for Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I possibly would have won.
Of
If I was
all
going to do a
place.
full degree, I would have gone to Minnesota.
Well, maybe we will go on a tangent there later because at the end of this, maybe how much you're in love with Prince and why you love Minnesota so much. Maybe at the end of the episode. So that actually, because we were talking.
It's cool.
Well, we stayed in touch because from Kansas and then on and. How we got to here, like jump forward from when I was 7 years old to 33 years old. As technology evolved, we stayed in touch. Eventually,
and you personally stayed in touch with me.
Well, when I got the capabilities of
yeah,
being
you
older
did
myself.
write to me. You wanted to be in touch, and then when the times came, I got married. We had a home, and you came to visit. Yeah,
I came to visit, and then we maintained a relationship. I always tell people when I tell these stories that like you've come to major events in my life, and it's almost like time gaps. Like when I graduated college at JMU,
yeah,
you came to that. When I got married to Maggie,
yeah,
you came to that in 2010, so 2008, 2010. The birth of my first son, Bennett. I think that's the next gap, maybe from.
But we
wedding.
used to visit in holidays too when we were coming to Florida.
But between
you brought Maggie to visit us.
Oh, that's right. I brought Maggie to visit
you. When you were in Ireland.
In between.
Before you had the children.
I had the children, and then you came and visit my children. So it's like we maintain that, and then I guess learning from my mom. But I'm usually like email.
Yes.
And it's just like it's a smaller world. We got WhatsApp. And
absolutely.
Texting and FaceTime. It's a lot easier.
Tons easier.
So I can't imagine how people did it previously, but it's really there's really no excuses now. Like what we call this episode is like there's really no borders to staying in touch.
No.
Maybe some time differences here and there. There's a couple hours ahead of time, but there's really no excuse now with the technology and things like that. Email and FaceTime and staying in touch. But with that being said, do you kind of miss the letters and stuff?
I treasure those.
I kind of miss what they call snail mail. I miss that.
It's exciting to get a letter through the post.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's why I still send you cards for special occasions. I think it's nice to have an anniversary card, a birthday card, a Christmas card.
I like that.
With a little bit of a note in.
I like that. I like that's why I sent the Ill Phil Awards.
Yes.
People like receiving
it's
a
really
real
special
award in the mail rather than just things like that. So.
And I still have the very first. Your mum was really good at that. When we were in Germany and you were a baby, I had my first Mother's Day card, and it said to my second mummy, "Love Philip III," and that was really precious, and I still have that. So letters.
You keep on to things.
Yeah,
I got a whole box of stuff too, probably of cards and.
But they're treasures. They are treasures.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna go into that box, but that's my little hoarding.
It's your treasures.
Right, yes. I keep that stuff too. So, I guess we're jumping all around, but we stayed in touch. What is some things you observed? Like now you see me full circle. Like I guess if you're like my second mom in that birthday girl, like a second grandma.
Super proud, and I see you still as that little boy. I find it really hard to look at you and just see you as a grown man, but super proud. But that happened not only on your wedding day, and I got emotional as though you were my child. I was so excited for you. Meeting Maggie for the first time, when you told me you were coming to visit, Andrew and I, my husband Andrew and I had a conversation. I said, what happens if I don't like her? What happens if what happens if I don't get on? I love Philip so much. I would be so upset. It didn't take not 30 seconds of meeting Maggie to know this is the perfect other half. You are soulmates.
Well, you're similar, and I think it took you like 2 seconds to talk about how my shoes are untied.
Yes.
And how I forget
but
stuff.
that was not only a relief, but
Maggie
I was.
And this,
Yeah,
Maggie
it was
are getting on me already. Like that's why they're getting along so well.
It was a relief to me to be so excited for you for your future because you were perfect for each other,
Yeah,
but
we were
I
probably-
was
she
scared. I
she
was
on the flip side, I
scared.
think she was very nervous meeting you too.
Really?
'Cause I hyped her up. I mean, I hyped you up in the family, so she knew that how important you were to me.
And
It's kinda
likewise.
like meeting, meeting significant family.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Oh, well, they like me, or if they don't, we're stuck there."
So so going back to the super proud, meeting Maggie was scary for
Did
me.
you meet her before? You met her before I graduated.
I think I did. Yes,
You did,
yes, I did.
Because I came over when she graduated.
Yes,
It
that's
was her
right. You were
trip.
going to
And
France,
then-
to
so you met her before I
Ireland.
graduated college.
Yes.
Because that's when we went over and visit you.
Because I did know her when we came over.
Yeah,
Yes,
you knew her when we came
Yes.
to graduation.
So that was really special and very important, and that sort of bonded it as well. It would have been really awkward had it not been. We're a family now,
Yeah.
and
I was the one who married her.
I know. I wouldn't have expected you not to, but it helps if we all get on, right?
Yeah, right. I'm like, sorry, I guess we're not
It's
going
okay.
to England. We're not going to England anymore. So, but it worked out. And so it's like weird, like you see this full circle, like my family and my children.
Well, the full circle thing, whenever anybody asks me about why are you going to DC again? And I say the little bits of the story that is so unique, so special. When my boys were old enough and they've come and stayed with you individually, Oliver is now 22, Tom is 19, and they've both been and stayed with you on their own. I just think, I smile and think that is so nice. And eventually it could possibly be that your children come stay with them. It is is unique.
It's like a cycle.
And you don't appreciate how amazing that is. We're talking 33 years of connection.
Yeah.
Not just friendship, but connection. And it's special.
I mean,
We're not family as such. We're not married. We were
Not
brought
blood.
together in a unique situation, and we bonded, and it's not going anywhere.
That's right. And that's why you're not moving to Minnesota if you ever had a chance to come to America. So I'm going random tangents. That's me. I don't think the listeners know, but Jeannie is probably the number one Prince fan. Her second favorite entertainer is Lionel Richie. Shout out to Lionel Richie because he's frat like me. So I think that's probably a big influence why I joined Alpha Phi Alpha.
That's
because
okay.
I wanted to be like Lionel Richie, but not sing. But no, Jeannie here is one of the biggest Prince fans I know, and makes pilgrimages back to what town?
Chanhassen,
whatever.
Get it right.
No, and now she wants to move there. So all places in the United States, she wants to move to.
Anybody that knows the place will agree with me, and they'll say it's heaven.
Maybe I'll get some. Maybe I'll get some listeners from Minnesota because of that.
You may well do.
And I think you saw Prince for the first time, but early on.
Your mum took me to my first Prince concert.
See,
She did.
All intertwined.
And she actually took me to my first Lionel Richie concert too.
Hey.
And Flossie went with me.
To both of them?
No,
Or
and
just the
Flossie
Prince?
went to the Prince. Yeah. So your mum is responsible for both.
Big experiences.
Yeah, because financially I couldn't have afforded it prior to coming, and she took me. So yeah.
So I mean, lots to be grateful for. Shout out to my mom.
Absolutely.
Shout out to my dad too.
For supporting both of us in our wild days.
Yeah, to go to jump on trains. Didn't you go on a train to see Prince?
Yeah.
Was that the one where you had to jump off the train?
Yes.
How old was Flossie when she was jumping trains?
She's about 60 something.
Because 60-year-old women jumping trains. So, I mean, adventures.
Your mum was very adventurous, and your dad, bless him, allowed us to be that way. Yeah.
He knew that y'all were together and safe.
Yes, exactly.
And then he knew that you were safe. I was safe with you.
Yes.
And that he's a very, good guy. I learned lots of lessons from him.
I also learned something recently.
Do you think I look like him?
Yes, you do.
Act like him?
And a bit of both. You're not as organised and methodical as your dad, I've got to be honest.
Maybe.
But there's a little bit of both, and there is very much a little bit of both. But I learned something new when I was talking to your dad just a couple of days ago, and I'd forgotten he'd told me this when I applied for the job, and he was looking through applications. My pre-married name was what jumped out at him, and he recognised McDougall as being Scottish, and part of his past is Scottish. And
Wilkerson?
Not particularly the Wilkerson, but if you talk to your dad about it, there was something about my name that he singled that application out, You never, it's things are fated.
Like small little one instance.
Yes.
Makes big difference.
Massive.
And pictures, and that's crazy. You see, I'm learning new things. That's crazy.
And I'd forgotten about that. That was what singled me out on when there's a whole load of applications, and that's okay, we'll have a talk to her. Take that to one side.
Put that on the top of the
Yes.
list. So what are some lessons you learned about maintaining relationships? Maybe...
you have to try. You have to want to do it. It's not easy, and sometimes you're not reciprocated. People have busy lives. Things can happen, and because of the way it was with letters, you could spend months waiting for somebody to write. You know what? I'm not going to wait for a response. I'll write again. I'll send a parcel. I'll keep in touch, and you have to want to. And I did care about you, and I wanted to keep in touch with you, so I wasn't going to allow distance or. You were moved around quite a lot. I wasn't going to allow that to change. Yeah.
And you couldn't ring us really with phones, wasn't it?
Phones were very expensive too.
Yeah, long distance phone calls.
It was silly.
So it was really letters.
It was letters.
Wow. Now it's easy.
It's very easy. And it's lovely that I've got the relationship with your children, because I've heard Bennett in the background when I'm talking to Maggie. I say, "Oh, Nini's on the phone," because it's a FaceTime. It's so easy.
Yeah, it's easy, and it's easy to explain.
And it's just a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes, and it's just nice.
Right, and that's the way I feel about your boys. I WhatsApp them sometimes, send them some random text.
Yeah, and they appreciate that. And I love the fact that you're so much closer in age to them than I am, so they'll take note. And because you care about me, they respect you telling them off, if you like. What are you doing that for? Oh, okay. And it's nice. It is a brotherly thing.
Well, I do also really, that's the full circle part about staying in touch. I did enjoy when both boys, on their own accord,
wanted to stay with
us. And like, they didn't have to. And I felt that makes us feel very special. And also that the way that it's like they're the same age as I was with you. So it's kind of crazy to see how much older they are than my children and how they interact with them. And, Tom we went to the zoo, and Bennett's like making Tom carrying him around the zoo. And Oliver, when he was holding him with baby pictures.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Oh, man. So you were very reluctant to be on this podcast.
I was very reluctant.
I think this turned out to be a really good, good episode. And
thank you.
Do you want to give any shout outs? I'm gonna do some shout outs.
Prince.
I was about to say your husband first. If you're gonna do you first.
Sorry,
okay, yeah, Prince. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Purple Rain, and when doves cry.
Purple Bubble.
Okay, so Prince.
I have to say
Andrew.
thank you to Andrew, my lovely husband. We've been married 26 years in October, and he has allowed me the freedom and the financial backing to do all the wild things that I do, and really initially to accept that I have an American family. One of the first things I wanted to do once we were married was for him to come over here. He was reluctant to do that. He'd never been to America before.
And 92.
And that was a big,
That was a big deal then.
That was a very big deal. But Carol, again, your mum was really great in organising trips to places like New York that we'd never been to. He'd never been to.
Hold up, in 92 you went to New York too?
Yes, we did. We did an Amtrak trip. We just did a little day.
Okay.
That's when we met cousin Myron.
Oh, yeah.
And Andrew was terrified about going. Because he'd only known about New York and America via television.
Right.
So, I just have to say thank you to him for allowing me the freedom for him to experience America, but to experience my American family. And through him doing that, he is himself adopted you as his other family too.
Yeah. So shout out to Andrew. Shout out to Maggie, like always.
Oh, Maggie's an angel. She is an absolute angel. She's a great wife.
She helps. I mean, I do a good job keeping in touch. I think the relationship, has gotten even stronger between us. Is that now I see you and Maggie have a unique relationship. I have a text group called My Ladies.
Yes, he does.
And there's moments where I'm like, I'm not even talking. It's just Maggie and Jeannie going back and forth about kid stuff. And I'm just like, whatever. I'm not really in there, but I think that's a very special thing, too.
It is special.
That you...
And it's lovely that her parents
connect
connect with us, too.
Yeah, so shout out to her parents, too.
And And I have to thank Carol and Philip very much so. One, for choosing me and for allowing us to continue this great journey.
She could have threw the letters away. You ever see the movie The Notebook?
Yes.
Remember The Notebook where the guy was like, I wrote you all those letters, but the mom hit him?
Yes.
You know, that didn't happen. My mom did the opposite.
No, she was great at keeping in touch. And, you know, and they chose me, and I have to be grateful for that. I will never forget the moment I saw you in Germany, and that was it. You're still cute now.
I'm not going to cry on this podcast. I was about to. But
no, but you're still cute. You're still cute now.
Yeah, whatever. And so those are some good shout outs to the family, your boys.
Yeah, the boys are great, and hopefully
for raising good boys, and also
thank you.
That they are like feel close to me to come visit and stay with us. I appreciate that, Joan and Jeff. I think that's good. All the listeners of the podcast.
Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you like this episode, share it with your family and friends, you know, via social media.
Spread the love.
Spread the love.
The purple love.
The purple love. Yeah, so, you know, if you're a Prince fan, maybe you can share this too. Thank you. We got shirts and other things for sale if you are interested in the podcast. There's been a great episode. I got you on the podcast. Now you can't...
That's it.
I can't say that you didn't support me in my creative endeavors, because I forced you to get on this podcast relentlessly. But thank you so much.
No, thank you.
This is great, and we'll check.
And you know I love you, right?
I guess, yes. I'm coming over here all these times, and maybe if the listeners like it, we might have to do a Skype one too, like 2 a.m. for me or something. 7 in here.
I'll do my best.
We'll see.
We'll see how liked it is.
How liked this is. All right. Thank you so much. And we're out. Thank you for listening to Positive Philter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.